at you dancing. Get it.
Ah. Well, hello everyone. As you see, we are having a side combo before we started. But hello, and welcome to this month's series where we are kicking off a new series of Light Your Torch. My name is Candace Miles, but I go by Coach C. I'm the founder and CEO of No Gap Consulting, a leadership coaching company. I'm solely focusing on Black women who are transitioning into leadership for the very first time. Create their identity. And uh-oh, I got a little feedback here. Sorry about that. I had a little feedback going on in my ear. But yes, I am the founder and CEO of No Guy Consulting, where again, I am a leadership coach for Black women that are entering into leadership for the very first time ever in their career, discover their identity as they are moving into leadership for the very first time. But I am also too, we'll get into a little bit later, representing the millennial generation. Again, as you know, Cynthia, if you are a millennial, go ahead and put that peace sign emoji in the chat to let me know you're representing with us today. And because Cynthia always reminds me, I always forget to say, I am located on the West Coast here in San Diego. So it is cold out here right now, as you can hear it in my voice. But I'm not just here by myself. As you can see, my co-host Cynthia. So Cynthia, I'll kick it over to you.
All right. Hello, everyone. And I am introducing the Gen X perspective. And so with Gen X, we keep it simple. No peace sign, just a thumbs up. We good with just a thumbs up in the chat. Yes, just a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know if you are a part of the Gen X community. Again, my name is Cynthia Haley. I am founder and CEO of Transition to Infinite Possibilities, hence the tip, Energy Coach, where I specialize in helping corporate professionals elevate in their careers, but most importantly, elevate their energy so that they can develop both personally and professionally. So I am excited about what we're going to do today with my co-host here, Coach C. Coach C, tell them why we're here, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about.
Yes, and if it is your first time, welcome. Lighting the Torch, it is a fireside chat where two generations of leaders come together and we share pretty much real talk on leadership, growth, and a lesson that we have learned along the way. This isn't just about passing the torch, it's really about lighting each other's torch so it'll become brighter. Not just from our generation, but from generation to generation, so we that all can see our path clearly. But Cynthia, I'm ready.
You ready?
I am so ready.
Let's do it.
I am so
Let's do
ready
it.
to hop into this topic.
Well, first, if you've been following along, thank you for joining our last 3-part series, which was amazing. And you can definitely go on LinkedIn and catch up, or you can catch us on YouTube with the banner that's strolling at the bottom and catch up on the series. But today we are here to introduce a new series called Lead Forward, Empowering Careers for Today and Tomorrow. So this is a 3-part series. So we're going to focus on a topic today. Then we'll be back again. And I promise you want to keep up with us. But for today, we're talking about navigating career transitions with confidence. And I will say this is a common topic that I get a lot in my coaching space as corporate professionals, especially my Gen Xers and even some baby boomers, right, are thinking about how to transition their career even at this stage in life. But the key is doing so with confidence. And so when we think about, career transitions, it can often feel very daunting, but with the right strategies, it can lead to, a lot of opportunities, a lot of growth, and you just never know what's on the other side when you step out of that space of being so comfortable where you're at today. And so if you are in a space career-wise where you're thinking about, gosh, I'm ready to do something different. I really want to step out of this space, but I don't know. I don't know. Well, we're here to talk about it. Okay. So the first thing that we want to hit on is, when is it time? When is it time to transition? And how do you know it's time? to transition to a new space in your career. So, Candace, what do you think are some of the signs that signify that it is time to make a career shift? And how could one go about getting some of those opportunities? But let's start with just knowing when the signs show up.
One pivotal sign that I would say that it is time for you to pretty much move or transition is if you feel as if you are coasting. And if you don't feel like you're challenged anymore, that is your indicator that what was new at one point for you is you become comfortable, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You become comfortable in the role, and sometimes getting out of our comfort zone and having that no feeling feels safe. But if you're waking up and you just feel like, okay, I'm coasting, this doesn't really bring me, like I feel like I've been there, done that kind of attitude when you get to work, that's an indicator that it may be time for you to transition out.
Yeah, I would agree that comfort piece, but then it's some people don't even realize when they're being comfortable, or just stuck in that comfort zone. Um, I often say when you lose that spark, it's
Mhm.
almost like cleaning out your closet, right? And they say if it doesn't bring you joy, go ahead and throw it away. Similar to the job. If it is not sparking joy, it might be time to move on and do something different.
Yeah.
If you're going in every day with your shoulders down, you're grumpy, you're angry, everybody's teeing you off, they could do the slightest little thing and it annoys the heck out of you. Guess what? That's a sign. It is time to figure out what's going to be my next move. So, really, it's kind of assessing your energy. Where are you at from an energy space when you step into the workplace or you log on from home or whatever the case may be? Where's your energy? And is it time to elevate that energy? Because if the answer is yes, it is time to take action and start exploring what opportunities are out there for you, what's possible for you. Um, Anything else come to mind for you, Candace, about the signs of when it's time to transition?
No, I think you just hit everything right on the head. It's really that inner voice that we're talking about that's really going off in us when it comes to, time to shift. If you, like you said, that joy, I even when you sit there saying talking about that joy, it made me think because I love some fashion. It's a new pair of shoes. When you get them, they give you, I don't know of anyone else that loves shoes, but if
Yes,
you are a shoe
I can
nista,
tell.
but it gives you joy because they're brand new. It feels good, and that's the same thing when you start a job. You have that excitement just like you get shoes, but over time you outgrow those shoes, but you try
Yeah,
to keep on to those shoes for a very long time, and sometimes keeping on to those shoes, it actually stunts your growth because some of those shoes, especially the way that they're made now, they will start peeling, the heel will break.
yes, yes, and
You know
yes.
what I'm saying? Like all of that, but you will still sit here and try to wear it when those shoes are telling you, "Hey, we are done." And
Mhm.
so, just that inner voice is what I would say is whether you're talking about the energy, whether it's the inner voice, whatever language that you choose to use, but just really listening to that because it's telling you, and it's probably been telling you for a while. But that comfort, like I said, that safety net of feeling comfortable and knowing that, hey, I know how to do this, will keep
Yeah,
us stuck.
absolutely. So if you're just joining in, then you probably pick up on the fact that we love clothes and shoes because that's been our analogy for when it's time to transition. So the other piece I will say is when you feel like you're not able to really tap into your strengths anymore, like you have reached a plateau
Mm.
and you feel like Rochelle, so do I. So you understand, yes, those clothes and shoes, it's time for change. um
Yeah.
but when you reach a plateau, right, and you're starting to feel stagnant and you're not able to really tap into those strengths anymore, or feel like you're growing anymore, like your development has been stumped, that is also a signal that it is time to change and do something different, whether that's a complete transition to another field or another role. um, you just kind of start have to exploring and really challenging yourself and asking the hard questions. Is it time to learn something different, and am I ready to learn something different that's going to get me to the next level? So,
Yeah,
when we
it's
think
good.
about that, it's understanding your energy, it's making sure you're not being stagnant and stumping your own growth. And then, the last thing I'll say too is we're getting close to New Year's, and everybody loves to make these goals, right? And it's, oh, what I want to do with my career. Now is
Your
the
new
time.
me.
Start thinking about that. What do you want to do professionally and personally? And how is your career going to align with that? Thinking about those goals and putting some action behind it. Anything you want to add on that one?
Yeah, I think when you sat there and said, like, when you become stagnant, and sometimes before you get to that stagnation, you will feel like some ebb and flows where maybe you come into the day and you're like, yes, I'm on fire. And then a few months later, you're back down in that valley. And you got to go up again, and you're looking and kind of grasping for anything that's going to bring you joy. And in reality, you're probably getting to that phase where it's time for you to leave. The stagnation is pretty much, for me, when I think about it, it's a result of those ebb and flows that you probably have already been going through, and sometimes for months and years.
Yeah. Yeah. I often ask people or clients, to think about the fear that might be getting in the way,
Girl,
right?
fear. We
Fear,
all
that little silent voice there that's holding you back from actually making the leap forward. You got to
Mhm.
tap into that, and one part of it is increasing your intuition, right? And being consciously aware of what's truly holding you back. And oftentimes, especially in my generation, I will say, it's fear of the unknown, fear of will I be successful, fear of am I capable of learning a new skill at this age.
Yeah.
How am I going to compete with the younger generation if I change careers now? Those are real things, right? And so when you get to that point, it's about building a transition roadmap. And so what can you do to start building a roadmap for yourself to transition to another career, another role, another field? And the first thing I think about is your skills assessment, right? Where are you strong, and where is there some opportunity? And based on where you are today, how can you start to explore some of those opportunity areas? How can you stretch yourself where you're at?
Mhm.
Or here's the reality. Google has like tons of certification programs. There are hosts of learning opportunities on LinkedIn Learning. YouTube University. We have to get outside the traditional way of learning, right? Like going to a university and spending $50,000 to learn something. There are so many ways to develop professionally, and it's important to start exploring those opportunities. What do you have on that one?
Yeah, I think, my whole theme I love is a road trip. Our
Oh,
career, that's what it is. It's a road trip. You already hit a destination. Now you're getting ready to go to a different destination. I love what I used to use. Well, I still even use it. Is when it comes to you getting ready to transition, and your transition maybe up or even to a different career, is assessing, okay, what are the top skills that I have currently that I use in this job that I'm in? What are the top 3 tasks, or the tasks that I use in this current role? Well, what does the future role look like that I'm trying to get to? And really
Mhm.
look at that description of that job, and to determine, like, when I say this, listen to me, when you're looking for new jobs and transitioning, be honest with yourself, because sometimes we are not honest with the skills that we think. We can look at a new job and be like, oh, I can do that, I can do that. Listen, I would be like, show me the receipts. When have you did this in your current career that is saying that you are? So be honest with yourself when you're looking for that next transition or that next step.
Oh, I lost my friend, but while we wait there, she makes a good point in being honest with yourself and really doing that assessment. The question I like to ask people also is challenge your thinking, challenge your mindset on, okay, I want this, but am I ready today? Or are there things that I need to do to get myself ready? Let me see. Give me a second. I need to add her. There she is.
Hey, I
I
said,
covered it while you were gone, but here's the thing I do want to say. Um, I do want to say when we think about, challenging yourself, I had to go back to the fashion analogy, right? It's like wanting that Louis Vuitton bag, but you really need to be going to the Coach store right now. No offense to anybody with a Coach bag or a Louis bag, but what is really within your purview right now? We talk
yes.
about SMART goals. Everybody talks about SMART goals, right? And part of the SMART goal acronym is being realistic. What's really within reach that is, attainable for you in this moment? Sometimes we want to go here, but you might need to start here and keep making incremental change so that you
Mm-hmm.
do get here. So with that, another thing you could do right now is start to craft out a 90-day action plan. I talked about New Year's. It's November. It's November. And before you know it, it'll be 2025 and you'll be asking yourself the same question. What can I do different in my career? I'm ready to change. And so over the next 90 days, update your resume. What does your LinkedIn profile look like? What does your network on LinkedIn look like? Are there people you can start to connect with and build relationships with on
That's what I was gonna say.
LinkedIn or in the space that you're in, or affinity groups, organizations, and things of that nature? Start to really tap into your network
Yes.
and ask the questions, based on where you're at. What do you need to do to get to this place? You
Yep.
never know. You never know until you start talking to people.
Yeah. Yeah, and then some people in your network, when we're talking about that, is network, be a little bit strategic too. Network with people who have made similar moves. You can see their history as long as they updated it. You can see their history of the roles that they've had, and if they've been in a similar space that you've been in, that's a good person for you to network and connect with and be able to ask them questions like, "Hey, how did you do it?" Because I guarantee, especially when people reach out, people, we love to talk about ourselves. So you
Mhm.
reaching out and saying, hey, how do you do it? That gives them the opportunity, one, to actually mentor someone who they didn't even know that they needed to mentor, but also two, for you to get the information as far as how to do it, and not necessarily do it their way, but it gives you some guidance on how you can plot your next steps. Because like I said, we're on a road trip, and on your road trip, we have GPS now. If not, if you are not using the GPS, you are out here wandering aimlessly. Your GPS is your network. Use them. Let them
Mhm.
help you.
I like that. Am I going left or am I going right?
You
Um,
know,
in your
did
career.
I hit a detour?
Oh, okay. So another thing that, you know, comes up when we're talking about career transitions with confidence. So we talked a little bit about fear, but there's something that you talk about a lot in your coaching practice, Candace. I think I saw you talk about it recently, was around the imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
and how the imposter syndrome uh, limits you from having that growth mindset. You want to take a minute and kind of talk about how that imposter syndrome can actually hold you back from transitioning with confidence in your career.
Yeah, imposter syndrome, for me, my definition is it is associated with fear. It's just your fear of your insecurities coming up. I'm not good enough. Oh, I didn't look like this. Oh, I didn't do it this way. And it just keeps you really stagnant, like we talked earlier, in a position when in reality you have to reframe your mind and change that fear of what that imposter syndrome is bringing up into an excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know what? I'm looking at this job. Yes, I may not have this skill, but what can I do right now? Oh, I get to learn this new skill. Oh, I get to network with this person. Oh, I get to talk to this person that I've always admired. Like when you reframe your mind, you begin to trick that imposter syndrome. Don't get it twisted. Imposter syndrome, it's needed sometimes, it's good at some points, but it's not good at the point where it's detrimental in your growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree on that. Um, but when it shows up, what can you do in terms of taking action? At one point I did this thing with affirmations, right? And really career affirmations and speaking life into your future, what you want for yourself. Sometimes you have to put it in the atmosphere and speak on it. The other thing that I think falls short, where a lot of people fall short, is celebrating the wins that you have
Mhm.
already accomplished. Right? I had a client recently and he said, again, wanting to move up in his career, but wasn't sure if he could do it. And as he kept talking, I said, I'm pretty sure you were successful at this thing at some point in your career. And the more I challenged him to think about where that success took place, and he started to remember and bring it up and speak on it, it's like, you know what? You're right. I
Mhm.
can. I can do this. Right. And so sometimes it's just taking that moment of self reflection
Mhm.
and recognizing that you at one point were successful. And
Yeah.
so going into a new journey in your career, you will be successful again. You just have to believe it and be confident in that journey and be consistent with affirming that confidence and what you want for yourself in your career.
Yeah, because what you did is you just, unconsciously helped him reframe what he was thinking. What if I fail? What if I fail? What if I fail to? What if I succeed? What if I succeed? What if I succeed? That excitement,
Mhm.
you just by you asking him and reminding him in those moments, hey, when was a moment you succeeded? Because that
Yeah.
same those same tools that you have, understand, is the same tools that you can use in this step as you are transitioning. It's the growth that we fear. It's that uncomfortability of, oh, I got to learn something, oh my gosh, I'm moving into this organization, or I'm stepping out on my own, or I'm getting into this role. It's that keeps us sometimes in the position that we're in a little too long than what we really need to. But it's really about, hey, if I can help you shift your mind from that thought of what if I fail over and over in the morning, that's maybe going through even throughout your day. Dang it, what if I fail at this? No, start challenging yourself and saying, what if I succeed? This is what happened. What if I
Mhm.
succeed? That is what happened. Because that really is the spoiler alert, is that failure is not trying. That is
Mhm.
a huge spoiler if you don't try. So you have to say, what if I succeed? I tried. I
Yeah.
actually tried. That is me succeeding.
Yep, absolutely. And what we're touching on that is so common today is mental health awareness. And
Mhm.
oftentimes that mental health shows up in our career decisions and how we move, whether we move or don't move, it has an impact on our well being and how we process information and, how we process those fears and how it weighs on our shoulders and things of that nature. So I would encourage anyone that is going through this journey and trying to figure out that next move, Increase your conscious awareness around your mental health and take care of yourself. Give yourself grace for one, give yourself the grace and take things in small bites. You want to change tomorrow? What can you do today to move towards that change? It could be something, so it might just be researching a job today. And tomorrow it might be taking a 15-20 minute LinkedIn learning class. And next week it might be, okay, I'm ready to update my resume. Small bites to get you where you need
Yes.
to be so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. And the other piece is ask for help. Ask for the
Mhm.
help. Um, we're getting close up on time, but one thing I do want to say is I'm gonna put a plug in here real quick, Candace.
I was gonna say, Coach,
Keep keep
get you a coach.
keep joining our series because between the two of us, we will definitely help you navigate your career with confidence and make those transitions. So that's a shameless plug to keep coming back because we will speak on these things over the next two series and we're talking about skills and things like that. And if I had to do one little spoiler alert, the third part is really going to be good. It's really going to be good. And we'll be talking about a skill that a lot of people want, a lot of people are seeking, a lot of companies are demanding. So tune in for the next episode and, of course, the following one as we continue helping you transition and lead in your career. But that was a little commercial break. So before we get ready to before we get ready to wrap it up, though, we talk about leveraging your network
Mhm.
with the career transition piece. And we talked about, looking at your contacts on LinkedIn. In prior series and fireside chats, we talked about mentorship and
Mhm.
how valuable mentorship is. And sometimes I think we try to make mentorship too formal. It doesn't have to be
No.
so formal where you got to meet with this person and have this 30-minute agenda and this, that, and the third, and then be in this relationship with them for 12 months. It doesn't have to be that way. You need to be intentional with how you build those mentoring relationships and know what is it that you're looking to get out of it. Is it just advice? Or are you
Mhm.
looking for sustainable, continuous progress and growth that is going to require these reoccurring conversations? So, um, thinking about continuing to pull on that thread of having the right support. Anything you want to add, Candace?
I just would say when you think about, because we always go to your LinkedIn connections, always look at them. However, just cultivate just a genuine relationship. Get
Mm,
just a regular conversation going. Like Cynthia just said, it doesn't have to be formal, but if you build a real relationship, when you do decide to transition, it won't feel like you're asking for a favor.
right.
And sometimes people can feel that we don't
Mhm.
want you just to come to us when you need a favor.
Right.
No,
Can you give me
actually
that
build a
job? I saw a job
hear what I
at
said.
your job. Can you give me a job?
Look, can you do this bid? I know somebody. Can you add this? Can I put you down? Like all those things, it just feels like it's just a favor. And granted, you have people who are like, I'm like that sometimes when old employees reach out to me and ask. I got people from years, like when I was first into leadership, that still reach out and ask, like, hey, can I put you down as a reference? And I'm like, okay, I don't mind. It actually flattering that you would even, still think of me to do that years later. But, just keep the conversation going. It doesn't always have to be about your career. You can just ask them about their lives. How was their day? What are they? Just a natural conversation that you would have with a friend, because that it will naturally turn into a mentorship for you,
Yeah.
where then to now, because you've made a meaningful connection before you actually needed them, they'll be able to help you because they've seen who you are.
You mean just the basic relationship building skills?
Some people don't do that. We don't. I'm not going to point on any generation, but because they may be on here.
Right. But relationship building is really good. And yes, LA Jones, we do talk about these things every day, and that's my network. She's a good friend of mine, but that's part of my network where we can share ideas. Right. And so for those who can't see the comment, Lahari comments that, we share best practices and experiences every single day, business ideas, what's working. It could be something as simple as how we're using Chat GPT to develop and grow in our careers and professionally. So use your network and the people around you in your circle to continue growing and make those transitions with confidence. So what we like to do with this series, we do like to light each other's torch. We like to light the torch of the next generation to come around the topics that we're discussing. So, Candace, I turn it over to you. Do you want to light the torch?
Yeah, and it's a next generation coming. It's even the next generation that may be in front of you. That's what it's about. I would say just really create like a transitional playbook similar to what you said earlier. Whether you use, I know Google Docs is huge right now, whether you use Google Docs. I love to use voice notes. If you all do not know what that is, it literally is you pulling up either your notepad in your phone or just an audio, sending an audio message to yourself. Mine in my phone to myself is called dumping my brain. But send a voice note to yourself where you're documenting like the lessons that you learned along the way. What worked? What would you avoid? What did you know that you didn't need? What are some strategies that you use that may actually have kept you that you didn't even know that you even existed, that you even know that you even needed at that point in time, and it kept you grounded? What was some tough stuff that nobody prepared you for? Because as much as it is that we've been talking about today about helping you transition into your next career, you're also creating the path for the person that's behind you. That's really how you begin to light the torch for the generations coming up, is by, like, your LA, I can't see, yes, LA Jones, like she just said in the comments, it's really about sharing those practices. And sometimes those practices is about preparing that next generation so they understand what it looks like to transition.
I love it. I love it. Yes, bring them along, influence change.
Mm-hmm.
For me, one of the things that we didn't touch on that I feel is so important when you're ready to move in your career is be mindful of your money. And what I mean by that is sometimes you want to jump the ship, but what does that look like for you financially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And starting to make preparation for that. What does that look like? You know, I did a YouTube video with a YouTube chat with someone who helped me when I was transitioning because I lost my job, with insurance and being a part of the Affordable Care Act, taking advantage of the Affordable Care Act. Being mindful of your money. What are the resources that you might need to tap in should you transition, whether it's moving up or whether it might be moving down or whether it's moving across? But knowing that you need to make a change, how are you going to be supported financially? So be mindful of your money, tap into the resources that are available to you, and start to plan and plan accordingly. All right, so we are getting ready to wrap it up. Hopefully, you got some actionable tips today out of this series. Yes, be mindful of your money and create a transitional playbook. Look at my co host over there. Before we close out, can y'all give my co host a shout with her look today? She is.
Ah!
I love it. it. I love it. All right. We will be back in a couple weeks of talking more about leadership influence and really honing in on how we lead forward in our careers. So thank you for joining. If you learned something, drop
Mhm.
it in the chat. If you want to know something, drop it in the chat. We'll bring it back the next time we come around. Have a good night, everyone.
Yes. Good night.